All right, let's get on to our last matchup we previewed, and that is the Red River Shootout. That is what I'm going to call it, the Red River Shootout. And Oklahoma faces off against Texas. Texas is technically the home team, but it's neutral size at the Cotton Bowl. The Texas State Fair is there. And Texas gets a massive win, a much-needed win. They win 23-6. Oklahoma really didn't have much going for them offensively. John Mateer maybe a little rusty. I don't really think it was a thing of, like, his thumb was bothering him, but he hadn't necessarily played football in a couple weeks. So, yeah, he was a little bit rusty. Not necessarily that he was throwing in active pain or anything like that. But key points from this game, guys?
Take it away, JP.
I can give mine.
Actually, go ahead, Jack. Honest.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest thing here is Texas O-line looked much better compared to their last week's showing against Florida, which was a must considering how good Oklahoma's offensive or defensive line have been at getting after the quarterback. Apologies. And then it's once again like they cannot run the football. They cannot run the football, and so especially in this matchup where Mateer's coming back from injury, and you really would like to not have to dump it all onto his shoulders, it immediately gets all dumped on his shoulders because their running backs just they can't run the football between the tackles. And Texas defense played really well. They were making every tackle. They were playing really sound. Colin Simmons was having a fantastic day. And so then that's when I think you end up having the couple interceptions from Mateer because he's having to throw the ball a ton. And it's just not really where you want to live against this Texas team. So once again, it's just I would love to see them be able to run the football better, but at this point, I don't really think we're going to get that.
Yeah, I'm frustrated with. I agree with the running game. That frustrates me as well. They obviously did not help Mateer whatsoever. And Mateer, I think, actually outplayed Arch Manning in this game. But sadly, he was forced into some difficult spots and had some critical interceptions, of course. I mean, he had the interception that was turned into a pick six. So I've got that right. There was pick six in this game.
I think so. I'm checking. I'll check now.
That's what I'm looking for because I don't remember one personally.
No, I don't have that right. That was a different game. My fault.
No, you're good.
But like Oklahoma did what they needed to do, and I thought they were going to do. I talked about how they start games and finish games well, and then play the halves well. Field goal, start the game like that.
Yeah.
We'll take that, considering it's Mateer's first drive back. But then to close the half, you're driving. You're in Texas territory, and Mateer's picked on third down. You could have had 3 more points right there very easily. It'd be 9-3. I don't hold as much on the coming out of the second half because Texas held the ball for 7 minutes on that touchdown drive to start the second half. And so 3 and out, it did not shock me when you couldn't really play off much of momentum there. The run game lacking really hurts, but one of the biggest things is to don't overreact. I'd say this is still a really, really good Oklahoma team, and I think they just got caught in a really, really tough spot. Texas is 3-2, backs against the wall. Texas could be 3-3, and we're not even midway through October, and they're essentially eliminated from the playoff.
Sure.
It's kind of like Oklahoma ran into Texas the exact same way Texas ran into Florida.
Sure.
Where it's a coach who's back, like you said, backs against the wall, a super talented roster. Florida hadn't been able to make it click for the first part of the season, and then makes it click against Texas. Texas has struggled offensively. Arch Manning hasn't lived up to the expectations. Backs against the wall. He goes out and has a good day against an Oklahoma defense that we like a lot. So I completely agree that they ran into a tough situation for sure.
Yeah. And this honestly was probably Arch Manning's best game. He's 21 of 27, only 166 passing yards, 1 TD, didn't turn the ball over. It's a lower bar, but this is kind of what the Texas team needs to be now, and that's help protect Arch Manning, put him in positions to succeed, The O-line needs to keep him clean. The wide receivers need to make plays. They need to run the ball well and just let him be a distributor and not be this absolute world-beater Heisman contender that people thought coming into the season. And so they executed that aspect really well. They get the punt return for a touchdown, which is huge in a game like this. It's a pretty defensive battle. But also largely, I mean, looking at the second half drive chart for Texas, they have the 7-yard touchdown, the 7-minute, touchdown drive, like you mentioned, JP. Then OU 3-and-out punts. Then they go on a 6-minute drive and kick a field goal. And that right there is like the Oklahoma defense has just been on the field so much all of a sudden.
Like the entire third quarter.
Yeah. And then Mateer throws a pick. Then they're only on the field for a minute 43. But then you force a 3-and-out, and then Texas misses the field goal. So I'm not going to give Texas credit for, a scoring drive that they squandered there because it was a field goal. You didn't go anywhere anyway. And then you go 3-and-out, and you punt in return for a touchdown. And then you turn it over on downs, and then Texas scores again. So you really didn't do a great job of stopping Texas defensively in the second half. Now, the offense also didn't give you anything either. It was a second half that honestly was just dominated by Texas, straight up. You go into half, you're up 6-3, and you lose. You don't score in the second half, and you lose 23-6.
It's almost like the State of A&M game, where it's like we have ourselves a game going into halftime, and then one team comes out and just dominates the time of possession through the second half, and the defense shows it.
Yeah,
how exhausted they are.
And I agree once again, JP, talking about not overreacting. It feels very similar to the Mizzou game for me, and this edition of the SEC is just every team has a flaw, and it's just on the given day, can you exploit that flaw, or can you hide that flaw? And the OU flaw is you can't run the football. And that was exploited today, and Texas did a good job of that. Or not today, but Saturday. Texas does a good job of that, comes away with the win. But, next week, Oklahoma's going to play a team that has a weakness, and maybe they can run the ball a little better. It doesn't come back to bite them in that same way. So there's no reason to panic on this OU team at all.
Yeah, I agree. Don't panic. But this is why I made the point about the Oregon team. The Oregon loses a game in which they're favored in, and they feel like they should be winning. Oklahoma loses a game in which they're favored in. And, of course, I'm sure their fan base feels like they should have beat Texas because what fan base doesn't believe they shouldn't beat their rival? But Oklahoma, the rest of the season, they play 5 ranked teams, all 5 inside the top 16. Oh, and, yeah, they go to Williams-Brice and Cocktober next week.
Yeah.
That's the difference, is now Oklahoma's, maybe they have already hit their peak, and they actually are a pretty weak team. Well, we're going to find out.
Sure.
Very, very soon, and we're going to find out the rest of the year. With Oregon, man, can you imagine if Oregon still had going to Tennessee and going to Alabama on the schedule? Does Oregon make the playoff? Well, I don't know. Oklahoma's going to be in that spot where there's not really a guarantee they could make the playoff. This is where that frustrates me, the lack of competitiveness between the two leagues. But I wouldn't panic on Oklahoma. They dodged kind of a bullet getting to play the South Carolina game at noon.
100%.
Essentially, I think they can get a nice bounce back win against a struggling team in the school up north that comes off I feel like it's going to be at least a beatdown when they play Georgia next weekend. I still, you jokingly said, is the ceiling now 11-1 for Oklahoma? And I'm going to not jokingly say yes.
Okay.
It is still 11-1.
Good to know.
I think this team can still do everything they need to do. I think the biggest thing is, and I don't think I'm alone in this. Clearly not. Sanders agrees with me, but I don't think the rest of the public I'm alone with. They were just in a tough spot. Backs up against the wall Texas team. And Steve Sarkisian was able to coach his team to a big win. The defense played really, really well for Texas. But this was, I'll use one of my NBA takes. This was a moment of desperation for Texas, and this really was their first true desperation moment. And so they pulled that card out, and that card never fails in delivering. And Texas got a big win in the Red River Shootout.
Which they needed it. It was a perfect time to pull out that card because, one, like you said, starting 3-3 as Texas is not going to go over very well, and then it's against your rival as well, and so
Yep.
you're not going to want to lose that one. And I think that's also what really hurts OU is like they kind of feel like this is a down year for Texas, whatever that means, and you still couldn't beat them, and so that's really frustrating for them.
Yep.
I don't have anything else on this game.
I
No.
was just gonna
Yeah,
real
go
quick.
ahead.
Texas, just talking about like playoff and stuff. They got to go to Kentucky, to Mississippi State. You get Vanderbilt at home, and then going to Georgia. That's kind of like probably the next big game in their schedule. I think you have to feel pretty good if you're a Texas fan.
No.
If you're a Texas fan though, Kentucky. They're not too worried about.
I'm worried about State at home.
I would be worried about Kentucky.
You're worried about Kentucky if you're a Texas fan.
Emotional letdown after a big win. You saw what happened against Florida. Now Florida way more talented than Kentucky, but
Yeah.
don't go ahead and chalk that up to a win yet. That would be kind of crazy. And of course, I believe in Mississippi State against Texas. But
I do too. I just don't know. But we're State fans. I don't know if Texas fans would agree.
As
well,
a
why-
as a
Texas fans
non-
are stupid. Why would they agree?
as a non-biased party, I would be very scared coming to play against Davis Wade because y'all are clearly improved, and the style of game y'all play with y'all's tempo.
Yeah.
If y'all just kind of get rolling early, it can be hard to get your legs back under you in a game
All right.
and fight back.
Well,
I'm with you on the Kentucky. I'm not at
Yeah.
all worried about the Kentucky game. It may be an ugly game.
yeah.
It may be a game you end up winning by way less than you think you should, but I'm not really
It's a
too worried
night
about
game, guys.
them coming out. Kroger Field
Kroger
about to be
Field is going to be
hopping.
On
rocking.
ESPN, that's crazy.
Yeah, they.
Um,
that's
That's
Texas
better
for
than
you.
we got.
That
We're on
is.
SEC Network.
Yeah.
Who do y'all have next week
Any guesses on the spread right now?
for the
For-
Texas?
Right now, you guys are talking like
the
it's
Texas
25
Kentucky
and a
game.
half. Yes,
12 and a half.
Sanders.
Wait, this is for Texas,
Kentucky.
Kentucky. I'll say our game was 14 and a half. 17. Our game against A&M closed to 17 and a half. I'll say 14 and a half.
It's 10 and a half, guys.
Yeah.
It can freaking happen this week.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Kentucky covers the spread.
Okay.
All
You
right.
heard it here first. Is that gonna be one of your best bets of the weekend?
No.
I was about to say,
I don't
no
think my bet-
way.
Okay. Okay.
No way
We
he's
might need to
betting
stop
on.
that segment.
Just checking. Yeah, I would ask you to call the hotline.
I was about to say, if JP starts betting on Kentucky sports that don't involve a ball going through a hoop, we need to check on him.